If you're struggling to capture a woman's attention, to make her feel something real for you, I'm about to share a truth most men will never hear. It's not about your bank account, your jawline, or your ability to charm her with clever words. Those are distractions. The real secret to becoming the kind of man she can't resist lies in one thing: mastering yourself. Not her, not the situation you. The hard truth? Most men are failing at this. They're chasing, pleading, performing, and losing themselves in the process. But here's the good news. When you forge an unshakable core, grounded in Stoic wisdom, you don't just attract women. You become the man they crave. This isn't about tricks or shortcuts. It's about building a presence so powerful, so calm, so rooted, that she's drawn to you without you lifting a finger. Forget everything society's fed you about dating. It's time to strip away the noise and rebuild yourself into a man of quiet strength, ready to learn how to command respect, spark desire, and live with purpose. Let's dive in. Most men are trapped in a cycle of chasing. Society tells you to shower her with gifts, compliments, or grand gestures. Maybe you've tried it, buying her flowers, planning extravagant dates, or molding yourself into what you think she wants. And where has it gotten you? Ghosted, friend-zoned, or stuck wondering why she's slipping away. Here's the brutal reality. The harder you try to win her, the more you lose yourself. Women aren't drawn to desperation, they're repelled by it. They can sense when you're acting, when you're trying to prove something. And the moment you start chasing, you've already lost. The Stoics teach us to focus on what we control: our thoughts, our actions, our character. You can't control her feelings, her choices, or her reactions, but you can control who you are in her presence. When you stop chasing and start building an ironclad inner world, you become magnetic. Not because of what you do, but because of who you are. Number 1. Forge emotional iron. Imagine you're sitting across from a woman, the hum of a crowded cafe around you, her eyes locked on yours. She says something sharp, maybe a subtle jab at your choice of words or a challenge to your opinion. It's not malice, just a test, a spark thrown to see if you'll flinch. Most men do. They feel the sting, their chest tightens, and they scramble to fill the silence with excuses, deflections, or a forced laugh that betrays their unease. I've been there, years ago, fumbling through a date, my mind racing to say the right thing, only to realize I was betraying myself. That's what most men do. They let the moment pull them under, like a riptide dragging them from shore. But a man grounded in Stoic wisdom, he's different. He's forged emotional iron. He doesn't react like a puppet jerked by strings. He pauses, breathes, and responds from a place of calm control. This isn't about shutting down your feelings or pretending you're a statue. Stoicism teaches us that emotions are real, but they don't own us. They're like waves crashing against a cliff, powerful, but they don't move the rock. I remember a time when a colleague tore into me in front of others. His words meant to cut deep. My younger self would have fired back, desperate to save face. Instead, I took a slow breath, felt the heat in my chest, and asked myself, is this worth my peace? It wasn't. I nodded, spoke my truth quietly, and walked away. Later, a woman in the room told me she admired how I didn't let his words shake me. That's the power of emotional iron. It's not loud or flashy. It's the quiet strength of a man who knows himself. Women sense this. They're wired to notice who bends under pressure and who stands firm. Think about it. In a world of chaos, where people are swayed by every slight, every mood, a man who remains steady is rare. He's a lighthouse in a storm. When you master this, you don't just hold your ground on a date. You carry that strength into every corner of your life. You become the man others lean on, not because you demand it, but because your presence commands it. Practice this, start small. Next time you feel that urge to react, to defend, or over-explain, pause. Feel the emotion, but don't let it steer you. Ask yourself what a man of strength would do. Then do it. Over time, that pause becomes your power, and she'll feel it without you saying a word. Number 2, speak with purpose. You're sitting across from a woman, the conversation flowing, and you feel the urge to say something to keep her interest. Most men reach for the easy route, a quick compliment on her looks or a rehearsed line they heard somewhere. I've seen it, I've done it. Years ago, I'd toss out words like, "You're beautiful," thinking it would spark something, only to watch her smile politely and drift away. Those words, they're like coins worn smooth from overuse. They don't carry weight. They don't reach her. A Stoic man understands this. He knows words are tools, not toys. When you speak, you're not just filling silence. You're building a bridge to her soul. Your words must have purpose, rooted in truth, or they're just noise. I remember a moment with a friend. She was sharing a story about a time she stood up for someone at work, her voice alive with conviction. Most guys would nod, maybe toss out a generic, "That's cool." Instead, I looked at her and said, "Lisa, the way you fought for what was right, that shows a kind of courage most people don't have." Her eyes softened, not because I flattered her, but because I saw her. Using her name wasn't a trick. It was a signal that I was present, that I valued who she was in that moment. Stoicism teaches us to cut away the excess, to speak only what aligns with our truth. When you do that, your words land like stones in still water, rippling deep. Women hear empty praise all the time. It's background noise to them. But when you notice what sets her apart, her tenacity, her quiet strength, her unique fire, and you name it with intention, you're not just speaking, you're seeing her. I recall a colleague who shared her passion for teaching kids, her face glowing as she described their progress. I said, "Anna, your patience with those kids, it's rare. It's the kind of dedication that changes lives." She didn't just hear me, she felt seen. That's what Stoic speech does. It cuts through the superficial. It's not about being clever or charming. It's about being real. You don't need to fill every silence with chatter. Pause. Observe. Let your words come from a place of clarity. When you speak to her character, her values, you're not just talking, you're forging a connection that lingers. That's the power of a man who speaks with purpose, every word deliberate, every syllable true. Number 3, act with deliberate strength. You step into a room, and every move you make tells a story. Most men don't realize this. They shuffle through life, shoulders hunched, eyes darting, hands fidgeting in their pockets. I used to be one of them, slouching through conversations, unaware that my body was shouting insecurity before I even opened my mouth. A Stoic man knows better. He understands that actions, not words, carve out his presence. It's in the way you stand, spine straight, grounded like an oak, unswayed by the wind. It's in the slow, deliberate way you move, not rushing to fill the space, but owning it with quiet intent. I recall a moment at a friend's gathering, a woman across the table watching me. I didn't say much, but I held eye contact, not to challenge her, but to connect, to let her feel my presence without forcing it. Later, she told me it was my calm that drew her in, like a steady flame in a storm. This isn't just about posture, it's about integrity, the kind that runs bone deep. Words are cheap if your actions don't match. I learned this the hard way years ago, promising a friend I'd help him move, then bailing when something better came up. The guilt gnawed at me, not because I let him down, but because I betrayed my own word. A Stoic man doesn't make that mistake twice. If you say you'll show up, you show up. If you're wrong, you own it with a single, sincere apology, then move forward. I remember a time I snapped at a colleague, my frustration getting the better of me. Instead of groveling, I looked him in the eye, said, "I was out of line, it won't happen again," and let my actions prove it. That's what women respect. A man whose choices reflect his truth, not a chameleon bending to please. Human nature craves reliability. Women, especially, notice when your actions align with your values. It's not about grand gestures. It's the small, consistent choices, like keeping a promise to call, or saying no to a night out that pulls you from your purpose. I started small, committing to a morning run every day for a week. It wasn't about the exercise, it was about proving to myself I could follow through. Each step built a quiet strength, a signal to the world that I'm a man who acts with purpose. Women feel this. They see it in the way you carry yourself, the way you honor your word. It's not about impressing them. It's about becoming a man who needs no one's approval to stand tall. Number 4, cultivate gratitude. You sit across from her, a quiet moment in a busy day, and she hands you a cup of coffee, steam curling from the brim. Most men would take it, mutter a quick thanks, and move on, their minds already elsewhere. I've done it myself, years back, barely noticing the small gestures that weave a day together. But a Stoic man sees deeper. He knows gratitude isn't a fleeting word, it's a way of being, a quiet force that shapes how the world perceives him. When I was younger, I'd brush past these moments, too focused on what I didn't have, what I still wanted. Then, one day, a friend brought me a book she thought I'd like, a small act that hit me harder than I expected. I looked at her and said, "I appreciate you taking the time to think of me. That means something." Her smile lingered, not because I praised her, but because I saw her effort, her intention. That's the power of gratitude. It's not soft, it's a mark of strength. Stoicism teaches us to anchor ourselves in the present, to focus on what's real, what's here. Most men are blind to this, always chasing what's next, what's missing, their eyes fixed on some distant void. But when you pause to notice the small things, a woman's thoughtfulness, a kind word, a moment shared, you shift something inside you. I remember a colleague who stayed late to help me finish a project, her presence steady when I was fraying. Instead of nodding and moving on, I said, "I'm grateful for your help tonight. You didn't have to do that." Those words weren't just for her. They grounded me, reminded me to stay connected to the moment. Women notice this. They feel the difference between a man who takes and one who sees. Human nature leans toward entitlement. We overlook what's given because we're too busy wanting more. But a man who practices gratitude stands apart. He's not grasping, not desperate. He's whole. I started small, thanking a stranger for holding a door, appreciating a friend's honest advice. Each act built a habit, a way of seeing the world that radiates calm contentment. Women are drawn to this, not because you're trying to impress, but because you're a man who finds value in what's real. When you live this way, every moment becomes richer, every interaction deeper. You're not just thanking her for the coffee. You're showing her you're a man who lives fully in the now, unburdened by what's not there. Number 5, let go of neediness. You're standing in a moment. Maybe it's a quiet evening, her eyes meeting yours across a table, and you feel that familiar pull, that urge to say something, anything, to make her like you. I know that feeling. Years ago, I'd catch myself shaping my words, my posture, even my laugh, to win a woman's approval. I'd walk away drained, wondering why I felt smaller, as if I'd given a piece of myself away. Most men live this way, tethered to the need for validation, their worth hanging on her smile or her silence. A Stoic man cuts that cord. He knows his value isn't in her hands, it's forged within. Letting go of neediness isn't about indifference, it's about standing whole, complete in yourself, offering connection without clinging. I remember a date where I felt that old instinct creep in, the need to impress, to be seen as enough. She was sharp, witty, and I caught myself overthinking, trying to craft the perfect response. Then I stopped. I took a breath and reminded myself, I am enough. I spoke from that place, not trying to win her, but simply sharing who I was. Something shifted. Her posture softened, her eyes lingered. She wasn't reacting to my words. She was drawn to the quiet certainty behind them. Stoicism teaches us to root ourselves in what we control, our thoughts, our actions, our truth. When you stop seeking her approval, you're not pushing her away, you're inviting her to meet you on your terms. Human nature is wired to seek acceptance. It's why we chase, why we bend. But there's a subtle power in letting go. I recall a friend who used to text a woman endlessly, waiting for her reply to feel good about himself. He was miserable, tethered to her responses. I told him to try one day without checking his phone, to focus on his own work, his own purpose. He came back lighter, not because she texted, but because he reclaimed his center. Women sense the shift. They're drawn to a man who doesn't need them to feel whole, who lives with purpose and invites them into his world. It's not arrogance, it's clarity. You're not closing your heart. You're opening it from a place of strength. Start small. Notice when you're chasing approval. Pause and redirect that energy to something you control, a task, a goal, your own growth. That's where your power lies, and she'll feel it, not because you demand it, but because you embody it. Conclusion. Listen, brother, you're standing at a crossroads. You can keep chasing, hoping to win her attention with fleeting tricks, or you can choose a different path, one where you forge yourself into a man so grounded, so unshakable, that women are drawn to you without effort. This video isn't just advice, it's a wake-up call to stop playing small and start living with purpose. Stoicism isn't some dusty philosophy. It's a battle-tested guide to mastering your mind, your actions, and your life. I've laid out the tools: mastering your emotions, speaking with intention, acting with ironclad integrity, cultivating gratitude, letting go of neediness. These aren't just steps. They're the foundation of a man who commands respect in every room he enters. Don't just watch this and nod. Take one principle, any one, and put it into action today. Maybe it's pausing when you feel triggered or standing tall when you want to shrink. Notice how it shifts the way you carry yourself, how others respond, how she looks at you differently. This is about becoming the man you were meant to be, not just for her, but for yourself, your purpose, your legacy. If you're ready to build that life, to root yourself in calm strength and quiet power, then join us. Hit that subscribe button to Stoic 95, smash the bell icon to get notified every time we drop new wisdom, and become part of a community of men forging themselves into something greater. Drop a comment below. Tell me, which principle are you starting with today? Share this video with a brother who needs to hear this truth. Let's walk this path together. Stay stoic, and I'll see you in the next one.